There's a very good reason you can't match your irrational competitor's price. Hey, it's Anthony Iannarino, thesalesblog.com, youtube.com/Iannarino, author of The Only Sales Guide You'll Ever Need. And I want to talk to you about not trying to match your irrational competitor's lower price and why you can't do that. And here we have to talk about two very big ideas, so stay with me here. I'm going to try to do my best to explain this. There are only three strategies a business can pursue. And the first strategy is to have the very lowest price. And this is what Walmart does, and it's what Amazon does so well. It's called operational excellence. And listen, I know that you want to sell at a lower price because it makes it easier to sell. It means that I don't have to do any of the work. All the value being created is just the difference and the contrast between this higher price and my lower price. And it's super attractive to people who want just good enough. And it means you don't have to be a great salesperson to sell lowest price. Anybody can sell lower price. It's easy to do. The second strategy is to have the very best product. And the very best product on earth is Apple. This is the game that they're playing. And that game is our product is going to be so good and so compelling that people are going to line up to buy it. If that's your product, congratulations, but you are in a very, very small group of people who have a product that's that compelling and that differentiated on its own that it sells itself. But that's what so many salespeople dream of. They're like, just give me a product that I can walk in and show it to the client, and it's so great that people are going to beg me to buy it from me. And that means that the product is going to do all the selling. And if you've ever heard anybody say, this product's so good it sells itself, good luck with that. That strategy doesn't work too well. There are a few companies that can pull it off, and Apple's one of them. The third strategy is called customer intimacy, and this is the place where most of us play. And that means I may not have the lowest price. In fact, I probably don't. And it means I probably don't even have the best product. But I have the best ability to create the overall best value for the client. And that means that my solution is customized. I have insight and knowledge that I can apply to their problems, and I can help them get outcomes better than any other choice. So most of us are playing in this last choice called customer intimacy. And that means we have to capture the value necessary to execute and deliver that to our clients. That's the first big concept you have to understand. So the first reason you can't match your irrational competitor's price is because you don't have that strategy. If your strategy is low price, you always sell low price. But if your strategy is customer intimacy, you've got to capture enough value to deliver that. So that eliminates the two other choices for most of us. Now, to the second and even equally large important concept here. There's a certain reason that a business exists, and it's to serve a customer. But to do that, you have to be profitable. It's important that every business is profitable. Most salespeople have never had this explained to them, so I'm going to explain it to you here. The top of a profit and loss statement has the revenue that's come into the business. That's every client that you build, that's the money that's come in. It also has a cost of goods or services. So that cost of goods and services, what it costs to produce whatever it is you sell, that comes off the revenue, and that leaves you with a line called gross profit. The gross profit is what you get to spend to run your business after you paid for the cost of goods or services. This means that your salary's in here, your benefits, the lights, the electricity, the buildings, all the things it takes for you to run your business. After that gets subtracted out, those operating expenses, you're left with net profit. And let's say that you have a business model that says you have a 5% net profit. And let's say that your irrational competitor has a 10% price reduction from your price. So they're 10% cheaper. And you decide, hey, we'll match this so that it'll be even, and we'll make selling easy because we'll take price out of the equation. So we're way better. We've got all this insight. We're doing all this customization. We're creating greater value than anyone, and we have the same price. Okay, so what happens now at that same price? Instead of a 5% net margin, you took your revenue down 10%, so you now have a negative 5% margin. And listen, I know we're just talking about one deal, right? It's one $1 million deal. We're going to do this to block this competitor. But then it's 2 deals, and then it's 3 deals, and then it's 4 deals, and then pretty soon this is how we're competing. We're deciding that the way that we're going to win is to match that competitor's price. But now you've changed the strategy and your negative 5% margin on the business that you brought in on the net line. So now what happens is the chief financial officer, the CEO, all the quants and the people that are looking at numbers say, we can't make even a 5% net profit as as modest as that is, we need to start cutting things. So what do we cut? We start to cut everywhere we can. We start cutting what it takes to produce the goods or services that we deliver, and so the quality starts to come down. And then we start cutting headcount because that's the best place to get back enough money to move that net profit up. It's the biggest expense for most businesses. And then we stop spending on sales and sales collateral and marketing. And we start to pull those numbers down so that we can get to 5%. And now your product that was superior now starts to come down, and it starts to look pretty much like your competitor's product or their service or their solution altogether. And so now you've stepped from being better, which was your compelling differentiation, to being the same. Now there's no difference. So one of you starts to lower your price a little bit more, and then you have a race to the bottom, and no one ever can win a race to the bottom. There's only room for one person there, and when you find out how tough it is when you have nothing other than price to sell, you'll wish that you had compelling differentiation so you didn't have to sell price. So there's two things I want you to take away from this video. Number one, if selling at the lowest price is not your business strategy, you can't do it. Somebody else can do it. They can be irrational if they want to. They can lose money. They can make deals that you can't make. I get it, but you can't follow them there, so leave it alone and move on. And the second thing you have to understand is that when you change the business strategy by discounting, you start to erode the net profit line, and then your company's response is going to be to start cutting things, because that's typically what happens. And when they start cutting things, you step onto the slippery slope of going from being a compelling, differentiated customer intimacy, high insight, high trust, high caring, high value organization to me too. And when you're me too, it gets really hard to sell. And that's why you can't compete with your irrational competitor and match their pricing. I'm Anthony Iannarino. Hit the subscribe button. This is Everyday.